Hello, it's another day of Poetry Week. You have learned about how poems rhyme. You worked with that last time we had Poetry Week, and you practiced it again. Now we are going to practice something called alliteration. That is a big word. Can you say it with me? Alliteration. One more time. Alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of beginning consonant sounds. What does that mean? Well, you know how a rhyme means the sound at the end of the word is the same? Like cat, bat. If that at sound at the end of the word was the same. Alliteration is instead of the end of the word, it's the beginning of the word. So the beginning of the word has the same sound, and they're usually not vowel sounds, they're usually consonants. Let me give you an example of an alliteration. Mrs. Loose licked a lollipop. Did you hear how the l sound at the beginning of a few words was in the sentence? Mrs. Loose licked a lollipop. The words can be right next to each other, like loose licked lollipop, or they can be spread out a little bit. Like you might say, the moose was munching some delicious meatballs. Moose, munching, and meatballs. Those all had the sound at the beginning of the word. They started with M's. I'm going to read you a few poems out of this book, A Light in the Attic, Poems and Drawings by Shel Silverstein. I love this book. It's one of my favorites, and I've had this book since 1991. I was just a baby. So, let me read you this book. It says, Picture Puzzle Piece. Did you hear the alliteration? Picture puzzle piece. I'm going to read the whole poem through one time, and then we'll look for some alliterations. One picture puzzle piece was lying on the sidewalk. One picture puzzle piece soaking in the rain. It might be a button of blue on the coat of a woman who lived in a shoe. It might be a magical bean, or a fold in the red velvet robe of a queen. It might be the one little bite of the apple her stepmother gave to Snow White. It might be the veil of a bride, or a bottle with some evil genie inside. It might be a small tuft of hair on the big bouncy belly of Bobo the bear. It might be a bit of the cloak of the witch of the west as she melted to smoke. It might be a shadowy trace of a tear that runs down an angel's face. Nothing has more possibilities than one old wet picture puzzle piece. I like that poem. I like the rhymes in the poem. But this time, we're going to talk about the alliteration in the poem. Remember, alliteration is the repetition of the beginning sounds, or the same sound. Okay, the title, Picture Puzzle Piece. What letter is used for that alliteration? Picture puzzle piece. P. Okay, a little bit later it says, it might be a button of blue. Do you hear the alliteration on that part? Be a button of blue. B is that alliteration. Then later it says, where was it? It might be a bit of the cloak of the witch of the west. That one's not as strong of an alliteration, but it does repeat a beginning sound. Witch of the west. The W is repeated. Ooh, I skipped one. This one's my favorite alliteration in this poem. On the big bouncy belly of Bobo the bear. Did you hear that? Big bouncy belly of Bobo the bear. It repeated the B sound. I love it. Okay, so here's the little picture that goes with that poem. Okay, let's try one more poem. This one, I'll show you the picture first. This is a very old book, so it's kind of broken, but you can see the picture right there. All right, let me read it to you. There in there. There's a polar bear in our frigid air. He likes it 'cause it's cold in there. With his seat in the meat and his face in the fish, and his big hairy paws in a buttery dish, he's nibbling the noodles, he's munching the rice, he's slurping the soda and licking the ice. And he lets out a roar if you open the door, and it gives me a scare to know he's in there, that polar bear in our frigid air. That's funny. Could you imagine if you had a polar bear in your fridge? Oh, that would be so scary. All right, let me read a few of those alliterations again and see if you can figure out what the alliterations are. Remember, repeating the consonant beginning sound, or repeating the beginning sound. With his seat in the meat and his face in the fish. Face, fish. So these alliterations, it's only repeating it once, so it's not as big, but you can still hear them. He's nibbling the noodles. Nibbling, noodles. So face, fish, that was repeating the f sound with F. Nibbling the noodles, it repeated the n sound with N. He's slurping the soda. It repeated the s sound in slurping and soda, so there's the S. And I think that's all of them in this one. Oh, yep, I think that's it. Good job. Thanks for reading some Shel Silverstein poems with me today and finding the alliterations. I'll see you soon. Bye.